Yes, right? We actually was like kind of reflecting like some of the good things in the youth group and then some of the weak points in the youth group. Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. So I actually got the notes from David, and Ellie sent me hers this morning. So I'm gonna read it to you guys really quickly to give you a refresher. Okay, this is from Ellie's group, and I'm not sure if all three groups, but I definitely got some response, and I also forwarded it to the teachers. Okay, so this is from Ellie's group. They said what was strong. In their group, they just kind of shared what they felt was their observation of what was really good. The highlights was everyone in the youth group the past year was involved. And what was really great is like the praise team and the tech team. And it looks like just as a youth group, we make an effort to reach out to the kids, like to the youth group. Something to work on was less cliques between grades / friend groups. I'm not sure if you agree with that, but that was the feedback given. Okay. This is another feedback from the other groups. This was just sent to me in one big lump, so I don't know if it was just one group or two. Okay. It says, share with the group the 2 or 3 biggest needs of the youth group. What's missing from the youth group. And number one was more volunteers that can serve our church. Another one is need unity. There's lots of cliques. We need to be better being a fellowship as a whole, not just being pockets of groups. And a little bit, it'll be better if we can more improve on our devotions and individually and our Bible reading as a youth group. So this is the things that you have shared with each other and you shared with me. So I kind of got a sense where you guys are at. So actually today's sermon is a little bit based on that. Today the title of the sermon is called Four Horsemen. I'll get to that later. It's a little nickname that it'll make sense. I think I gave a little hint about, maybe I didn't. But anyway, it's basically, we're going to talk a little bit about unity, a little bit about love today, and and maybe addressing, maybe food for thought, what Jesus says about love, and maybe cliques and blah, blah, blah. But I think the main thing is, before I start getting into, there's going to be a lot of scriptures. It's going to be going from James to Isaiah to Gospel of John, but they're all thematic. It'll make sense to you. But before I go through that, I definitely want you to understand maybe my approach or the type of person I am. So I'm the type of guy, I don't like to BS, okay? I'm getting to know you guys. I don't know you too well, so it's going to take time. I don't expect you to automatically become lovey-dovey with me or whatever, but I'm a very straightforward person. And but the one thing that my hope, my expectation from the youth group is that likewise that in your spiritual life, there's no BS going on, that there's actual genuine spiritual content in your life. There's a lot of times that I've experienced when I've been a guest speaker or I inherited a new youth group. A lot of times people would say a lot of theological words, they would say a lot of religious words, they would say a lot of Christian type of words in vocabulary. Well, when it actually came down to their lives, oftentimes it was hot air. It really had no substance. So people would say, hey, we love one another in Christ. I love you in Christ. Or they would say, hey, we should be devoted to God, give our lives to God. And it all sounded right. And they would go through the motions. They would actually read the scriptures. They would actually do outwardly attend service religiously, committed every Sunday. They would be involved in leadership, and they would be really involved in planning and encouraging, even welcoming newcomers. I've seen it all. But inside, what was missing was the actual substance of if it was genuine, sincerely, they meant it or not. And so you would see it basically by the fruit, right? People can talk, but if you don't see the fruit of their actions and if it doesn't bear fruit, especially during the weekday, when they leave Sunday, what goes on during the week? And if their life is like an exact contrast to what they're speaking on Sunday, you know there's like a lot of hot air. It doesn't mean it wasn't genuine. It doesn't mean what they're saying, they weren't being sincere, except they just didn't know how to go past the surface of words. It's kind of like, when you're polite to someone, you don't have a real relationship with them. You just say, hi, and you smile, and that's good for an introduction. But after year 1, 2, 3, if you're still at a surface relationship with your spiritual life, and there's no depth, there's nothing beyond hi, and being polite, then it's hot air. So what happened is they had the introduction right, but somehow they weren't able to tap into any depth of their spiritual life. So during the weekday, it was non-existent. You would see them at school, you would see them in their lives, and it just felt like, wow, is Christ really in your life? Is God really in your life? Is because what you're saying on Sundays, it didn't reflect what was going on in the fruit of their actions. So I'll give you an example. My previous church, they had this thing where about 7th grade, 8th grade, it was kind of like a tradition that everyone got baptized. It was like as a grade. They would ask you, of course, they give you a choice. They get baptized and they give out like Bibles as gifts or Starbucks gift cards and like necklaces. But what happened, and they would start serving in 7th grade in the worship team as small group leaders. They got to go on this missions and training. They would do all this religious training, right? Legit training. But this was a strange thing. A phenomenon happened. By the time, majority of them, by the time they got to senior year, they would say, I'm not sure if I'm even saved. I'm not sure if God exists. They said, I got baptized in 7th grade, but I feel like I just did it out of peer pressure. I did it because my friends did it. I did it because it was a social thing, like it was a momentum in the youth group. Everyone was crying, so we just jumped along. But now that I'm a senior, I'm not even sure if God exists. And this is not like 1, 2. This was like 85% of the seniors were saying this. And it just kept happening over and over and every year. So I kept researching the seniors who graduated, the first and second year of college, and they all said the same thing. They said, yeah, we started like serving in church since like 7th grade. We were actually like forced to be kind of like, or pressured. They went before, we were pressured into, just thrusted into the forefront, and we were expected to lead at 7th grade. And we like led the small groups. And I was just like, wow. And so what happened was, instead of focusing on the relationship with Jesus Christ and learning how to love Jesus Christ, they skipped the steps. They skipped those steps of actually developing the relationship with God, and they would just jump into serving. So they did all the outward things that looked good in front of the parents, in front of the whole youth group. It looked solid because they had a solid program. They had a great praise team. They had good discussion small group leader. And they would go out and evangelize. But they themselves didn't even believe. So they would actually go out to the streets, right, like Saturday mornings, and go witness to people, strangers. And they said, hey, like our adult leaders, took us on like a missions training, evangelism training, and we go out and we go evangelizing. And by the time they got seniors, they didn't even believe. I do not want you to go through that. I don't want you to go through getting involved in the youth group, getting involved in all these things that seem churches, but inside you're empty. And you're in a void. And I'll tell you, because it'll become evident. You won't be able to hide it. It'll become like a perfume, right? When you wear cologne or perfume, all right, it kind of just naturally will reek out of your body. You smell it. So generally, when I come to a youth group, I generally don't start just right away, just start going to you right away. What I like to do is just keep quiet and listen. So on purpose, the sermon last week was just a mirror. I'm not saying much, just saying, look at your lives. Listen to your own words. Listen to your own lives. What is going on the past year in the youth group? Today's going to be a little bit further, but I'm going to challenge you. So basically, if I go around, imagine you guys are trees, right? My job, right, these first few months or first few weeks, I'm going to be just shaking each tree. And then just go around and just shake each tree. I want to see what falls out. Like what kind of fruit drops. So, if like apple's going to drop out, or a cat's going to drop out, a dog, what's going to come out of the tree, right? Or if you just go around kicking the stumps of trees, right? What's going to come out? Am I going to get thorns and thistles, right? Angry, right? Spikes? Or are you going to get some fruit, some spiritual fruit? Does that make sense? So, right now, this is a time of revealing where God is going to challenge you to see what's really inside. Everything you learned, right, previously. Is it bearing legitimate fruit? Or is it just hot air? So today we're going to talk about love. And I'm going to find out if this love in you is hot air or it's legitimate. You're going to find out for yourself. I'm not going to tell you. You'll see for yourself. And so this is, we're going to go to the next slide. Can we get to the next slide? And this is a passage for today. And this is basically, let me move this board. It's blocking it for a second. Okay. Now this is our key passage. We're going to go through several scriptures today. Now if a brother, this is from James chapter 2, 15 to 17. If a brother or sister is poorly clothed and lacking in daily food, and one of you says to them, go in peace, be warm and filled, without giving them the things needed for the body, what good is that? So also faith by itself, if it does not have works or actions, is dead. All right, we said this. I'm going to go to the next slide. This is just a key verse, but I'm going to actually introduce you to a scripture passage in Isaiah. And this is from Isaiah chapter 53, verse 6. And it goes, all of us, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to his own way. Next slide. Okay. But the Lord has caused the wrongdoing of us to fall on him. He's basically saying all of us have messed up, right? We all sinned. But Jesus said, all the wrongdoing, Jesus put all the sin, the penalty upon himself, right? Even Friday night when we saw the video, right? When we saw a little bit of that concept, you understand what grace is. And can we go to the next slide? And this is called like the substitutionary sacrifice. I'm going to just read the Isaiah 53, 4 to 6. This is not on the PowerPoint, so just listen carefully. It says, surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. Upon him was the chastisement that brought us peace. And with his wounds we are healed. And then the verse we just read, we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way. And the Lord has laid upon him the iniquity of us all. And this is basically what Tim Keller is just a famous pastor that passed away. And Scott Grant, this is another professor that I know. And he basically says, all of our punishment, right? All of our sorrows went onto Jesus. All of our punishment went onto Jesus, right? He paid the price. And you guys should know this message. This is the price, right, that Jesus paid. And this is his love for us, that he gave his life for us. Let's go to the next slide. Now the takeaway. And this is going to be a challenge, a little bit, a minor challenge here. And this is going to be the theme. We're going to actually talk about this today. We're going to actually see what kind of fruit come out. The takeaway is, though Christ loved us in place of our sinfulness, right? Basically, he's saying, because of our sinfulness, our selfishness, right? Even though we deserve death and hell, he died in our place. He suffered. So we don't have to take the consequences, but he bore all the punishment that was supposed to be for us upon him. But this does not equate to we don't have to love because he was a substitutionary sacrifice in place of our selfishness. So basically what I'm saying is that, okay, you know what? We weren't loving people. We were just self-centered. We sought after ourselves. Instead of living for others and living for God, we live for ourselves. But Jesus, in place, took the punishment for our selfishness, right? And he died so that we can enjoy our heavenly life and go to heaven and have a relationship with God, right? That makes sense. But that doesn't equate, just because he's done that we don't have to love, right? We don't have to love. A lot of times we get caught up into the reward saying, you know, Jesus paid the price for our sin, so I don't have to face the consequences, right? You know, I was selfish. Instead of loving, I was being selfish and self-centered. But Jesus paid the price, so I'm free. But it doesn't mean just because you got a free pass, right, from punishment, that you shouldn't love. Does that make sense? And oftentimes, we keep proclaiming Jesus' love for us, set us free from our selfishness. Yet, the times where, this is the next slide. And this is what Jesus said. Go back up one slide. It says, in fact, Jesus tells us to love others the way he has loved us. And so, it's not just him paying the price for you. This is from John 13, 34 to 35. He says, a new commandment. And this is not even an option, right? This is Jesus saying, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also are to love one another. By this, all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. So, Jesus is saying, you know what? I sacrificed my life. I suffered so that you can, I gave my life. I died, right? So that you can live. I laid down my life for you. And he's saying, this is my command to you. To love others the way I loved you. And this is the fruit. This is how the world will know you're my disciples. So, if in lip service you just keep saying over and over again, Jesus, thank you so much for your love for me. I don't have to pay the price for my selfishness. Okay, the next step, Jesus is saying, now a new commandment I give to you. Love others the way I loved you. The way I laid down my life for you, I want you to lay down your life for others. And this is, right, that, and by this, all people will know that you're my disciples. And this is the part, friends, in the youth group. If you don't do this part, this is hot air. You'll find out there's no fruit in your life by your love. Let's go to the next slide. So love is more than words. And James, right, it says, if our brothers and sisters poorly clothed, lacking daily food. And when he says to them, go in peace, be warm and filled, without giving them things needed for the body, what good is that? I'll tell you this. I want to say this straight in the youth group. If you want to address some of the needs in the body of Christ, you have to face yourself. If you say, for example, this is your own words, I'm going to bounce it back to you. Try not to take this as like, oh, I'm coming down in criticism. It is a challenge. It's a little tough word. It's not as encouraging, but it is love. If you say to me, we got cliques, right? We're divisions. And so you see people, you're purposely not a whole unit, right? And you see yourself scattered and you're not really reaching out to everybody. And I'm not saying all of you. Some of you legit do, right? Reach out. So you're doing all you can do. Don't feel exasperated. But I'm just saying as a whole, you don't. And you watch and you do nothing about it. You know what that means, right? It's like someone who just say, hey, I wish you well fed and well clothed, but you do nothing. Then it's hot air. Does that make sense? And I'm telling you, if you don't understand this is a very simple concept. It takes a little bit of sacrifice to love someone. Love is not something you do just for your friends and for those that you want to be around you. You know what the Bible says? That Jesus said that, you know what? Even sinners and unbelievers love those who love them, love their close friends. You know, I can even say the most horrific historical figures who are really demonic, like Hitler, loved his friends. And he says, what good is that? If you just love those who love you, what good is that? But Christ's love goes beyond that. So if you don't know how to love in your youth group beyond just hanging out with your friends and those who make you comfortable and those who you're compatible with, it's hot air. And I'll tell you, unless you face that and start to say, Lord, I want to love the way you love me. Teach me to be a sacrifice. There's going to be no change. You'll be an observer and you'll be sharp and say, hey, you know what? We're missing this. We need more of this. And you can probably identify what we need, but yet, if that's how far you go and you actually don't think of a plan, don't think of something to actually do, right? Then we're going to be where we're going to be. Just talk. Let's go to the next slide. Loving another takes change in church culture, going against the grain. To follow Jesus and love as he asks, you must go against your natural social patterns. And it may be humbling or humiliating. For example, if you go to the lunchroom and you know there's somebody who's being left alone, maybe they're isolated, they're just socially awkward or just really unpopular, and you know if you talk to them, it's going to make you look maybe like a little weird associating with them. It actually is a price. You know, there's a person that Jesus healed as a blind man, right? And his mother was so afraid she didn't even want to acknowledge it because she was afraid she would get kicked out of her society. She was afraid the Jewish leaders would not, right, let her be part of it. So she just said, hey, you know what? My son can speak for himself. I don't need to speak for him. And he basically said, you know, I try to do the politically distance himself. Sometimes when you love someone, it might cost you. It might be inconvenient for you. One of the things I would challenge you is this. In my youth group, it was weird. When people were scattered, this is a sign. We would take cars, like a bunch of seniors of us. This is a sign of unity. It's a small sign, right? I'm going to give you an example. When we go like to place, we go golfing, right? Go paintballing, right? And the seniors would give all the underclassmen rides. When we go together, when we had unity, all the seniors, we would wait for each other. If somebody missed a red light, we would kind of stop and just pull over, right? Put our emergency blinkers light onto the light turn green, and we stick together. But when I go to a place where they don't care, they just want to just get to the... No, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying, this is California. I'm just talking about New York, okay? In New York, that was the proper thing to do. I don't know, California, maybe you guys know what you're doing. You have like phones and GPS, it's different, right? But in New York, we just wait for each other. But there were some groups, they didn't care. They wouldn't wait. As soon as, there was a red light, they're like, oh, they're left behind. They don't know how to get there. Like, oh, okay, too bad. And they would just drive off, right? It was so scattered, and they would be so inconsiderate of each other. And they leave each other behind. And I'll tell you, sometimes that's a small sign is learning to just being considerate and waiting for each other, making sure nobody's left behind. My youth group used to, when I first got to my old youth group, whenever it came to lunchtime, that was the time we would reveal where there was unity. People were scattered. Nobody would talk to each other. So our youth group was gender divided. The guys would not talk to the girls. For some reason, that's what it was like. The girls would all talk to themselves, and the guys would talk to themselves, and it was very, very, even among the girls, there was a hierarchy and clique, and some of the girls wouldn't even talk to each other. They ignored each other. So it was really isolation, right? But especially during the lunchtime, during the service, they would all sit together, they would hold hands, praise, worship. But once the service was over, what did they do? They were scattered. But when the youth group became whole, when the unity got stronger, you know what they did? They actually ate together. They ate together. They spent some time together with each other. Why? Because they enjoyed each other. There was a sense of true love of pouring out. I would like you to reflect on yourselves. What do you do Monday through Friday? What do you do before and after service? If you can make some kind of changes within yourself, make some new pathways, you'll be able to defeat the cliques, if it is cliquey. Very simple, right? It's a very simple concept, hard to do. Next slide. I'm going to close with this passage, this quote and passage. It says, the cross was a symbol of torture and humiliation. Crucifixion was imposed by the Romans on the dregs of society. Beheading was a much more noble and stoic way to face death. Wretched criminals and hated slaves would be crucified naked. They would be spit upon, cursed by onlookers. The Apostle Paul clearly recognized the irony of the victorious Messiah King being killed on a gruesome and hideous instrument of death. And this is from 1 Corinthians chapter 1, 22 to 24. But we preach Christ crucified. To the Jews, a stumbling block, to the Gentiles, foolishness. But to those who are called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ, the power of God and the wisdom of God. So basically what he's saying is, this suffering, right? Just humiliating yourself, crucifying yourself. To the world, it just sounds, first of all, this is gruesome, crushing. But to the world, it's basically foolishness. It's saying, wow, why would you waste your time doing this? You can spend your time doing something more worthwhile than doing this foolishness. And why do all this suffering? But if you can embrace Christ's suffering, the punishment that he endured, and if you can embrace that upon yourself, and learn to use that, saying, you know what, I'm going to lay down my life for the sake of others and go through humiliation, through suffering, you will see genuine love. You will see a mindset to say, you know what, let me not think about myself, right? And what I want to gain out of this, the last few moments I'm here in the youth group, but let me pour out my life into those around me. Seniors that are going off to college, I don't have much time with you, maybe 1 or 2 days, so you're just kind of getting the tail end of as I'm coming in. Maybe you'll see me on break, maybe not. I don't know, where you're going to be once you leave. I wish I had more time with you because this challenge is for you to spend. My seniors, we usually have 2 types of seniors. One senior always goes, hey man, I give my whole life to church, since 6th grade to junior year. So my senior, I'm just going to spend time with my friends, enjoy prom and everything else, and they're barely around church. I understand that, right? But there's another flip side to that where they would say, the mindset would be, you know what, I realized I was living for myself, but recently, the last few days I'm here, I realized before I leave, I want to leave a legacy to the youth group, to the younger generation. And I may have time with my friends, but I'm going to sacrifice some of that time that I want to enjoy with my friends, and I'm going to pour out before I leave into the younger generation because I don't want to leave them orphans and abandoned. I want them to have a sense of love and some kind of leadership from the older brothers just looking down and older sisters looking down at my toenails and just really taking care of them. And you have to make a choice at that point. Do I spend time for myself or do I spend time sacrificing my life and spend time pouring out to the next generation? And I'm telling you, you can't do both. You have very finite time, and I tell you, it does take sacrifice, and it hurts. It'll take away your personal freedom, personal time, and only you can make the choice. What's in your heart? I'll tell you. Listen, when there's love, and there's like a stinginess, and you're like, you don't want to be generous about sacrificial, I want to say to you then, right now, is your love hot air? Is everything you learned about Christ, right? What Christ did for me, is it real in your life? Did Christ really die for you? Did he really suffer? Do you understand his suffering? And do you understand his compelling, right, command for you to love and sacrificially for others? Or are you living for yourself and enjoying it and just doing what's convenient? There's so many times I can't, I don't know if this is a West Coast thing or East Coast thing, I don't know. But there are times where I would have leaders come to me and say, Pastor Dave, I can't come this Sunday because I'm going to hang out with my friends. I have to study for a test I got to do. After I take care of all those things, then I'm going to come to church. And I told them that's great, but I never want them to serve those people because they don't know, they understand what it means to sacrifice. And so I don't like to judge people, but generally I do have requirements when people serve. Even my teachers. If my teachers go, hey, you know what, I'm going to be here, but there's a few Sundays I'm not going to be here, like you have adult leaders who do that, I just look like lambasted. I'm like, man, if you don't set an example of what it means to sacrifice, but you just live for yourself, you're just going to disciple people to do the same, to live for themselves. And that's not the message of the cross. That really isn't. And so I do vet my teachers, and I do watch what they do on Sundays. Do they just teach you, right, to go worship God, do this, and then in their own lives they don't even come to church? I see that all the time. I'm serious. I hope as you get older, you go to college, you don't become like that. Like, at least come to the grips and say, you know what? Lord, I am living for myself. I don't know how to live for you. Come confess that. Repent. Maybe you have an opportunity to repent, but don't fake it, man. Don't fake it. Don't be like, I love Jesus. You gave up your life, and I want to live for you. I'm going to give you I'm following your commands, right? And you don't do anything that's inconvenience to you. You just do whatever convenience you. It's cheap. Does that make sense? Yeah. Look, listen. Now, listen. I'm not blasting you. Let me take it back. Let me dial it down a bit. When I was in youth group, I would skip Sundays because I was immature. And why I would skip Sundays is because my friend's church had pretty girls there. So I was committed. I was part of the worship team, and I would lie. I would say, yo, I can't make it a youth group. They're like, why? I'm like, oh, something came up, and I can't show up, so can you just play without me? And I was like the only drummer there. and they needed me. And I committed ahead of time that I would be there every single Friday night. I didn't go. And what did I do? I lied because my friend invited me to his church, and they had a lot of pretty girls. And I'm sorry, you know, I was selfish. I'm telling you, that's what I'm saying. Hey, listen, I understand, right? But that was in Christ's love. Let's be real, right? And I justified it. When I went there, they had amazing praise. And you know what? You know, like we talked about Bible with these pretty girls in my friend's church, and we were doing religious stuff, but I knew in my heart I was being selfish. Does that make sense? You guys know how to be slick, right? And you know genuinely if you're really truly loving or not. You can maneuver that way because I did the same thing. And I would come back to church, and I remember one day I was really convicted, saying, man, do I truly have genuine honesty? Am I truly a transparent person? Or I'm this manipulative guy who just like lies to myself and just tries to put on this facade. And I had to challenge myself. But trust me, I understand. I understand how it goes, right? Yeah, you know, it's a social thing, and you have to choose all the time. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to challenge you today. I don't know about next week. I don't know. I can't control what you're going to do in college, but I'm going to challenge you today. What we're going to do here, we're going to break up into small groups, and I want to give you an opportunity to sacrifice some love. It's very simple. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask the graduating seniors, the upcoming seniors, and the juniors to all stand when I call you. And we're going to come to this side of the room. And then I'm going to ask all the middle school kids and less, like those who are sophomore and down, to come to this side of the room. Is that cool? Are you guys ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Okay. Seniors, rising seniors, rising juniors, and guys going off the class, come over here. The rest of you can come on this side of the room. All right, have a seat real quick. Have a seat real quick. Angela. Okay, listen. I'm not messing around here. I'm going to challenge you. Okay, out of this group, raise your hand if you believe in Jesus Christ. Raise your hand if you believe in Jesus Christ. All right, because if you didn't, then I couldn't do this. Okay, raise your hand if you know that makes sense, like command to love one another. Raise your hand if you know that. Okay, really cool. Okay, raise your hand if you want to love one another. Raise your hand. Okay. Okay, and we're all sinners. We're not perfect. We understand that. Okay. What I'm going to ask you to do, each one of you, no, straight up, each one of you. Listen, if you're visiting here or you're freaked out because you've never saw me before, okay, you can find a way to hide. Don't worry about it. Okay, you're like, who is this guy? I just came back from vacation. What is he doing up here? I don't know this guy, right? Who knows? Okay, it's all good. I'm going to challenge you right now among yourselves. You're going to divvy up, grab 2 or 3 people. Yo, okay, who here is broke? Raise your hand if you're broke. Okay. You 4 are broke, you got no money. Okay. All right, you're going to have to find something to do. For those who have money, I'm going to challenge you to grab a few kids, like 1 or 2 kids, and make a commitment before you leave. You take them out to lunch. Today. This afternoon. Okay, so during lunchtime, you're going to go, okay, if you're cheap, right, or not cheap, you just have no money today, right? Right? Just go to Oma Appa Baghdad and go borrow from go borrow from one of your fellow seniors, right? Just borrow money. If not, just get the Cash App. You guys got Venmo or Cash App? Just say Venmo me a few bucks, okay? I heard a few of you guys like to go out on your own. That's cool. Okay? But if you could just today sacrifice that one day, I know it's your final day for a few of you, but just take someone out, man. Take them out. Just take them out, okay? But you're going to grab them and at least before you go, okay? If you're broke, okay, I know there's some food here. Today we have lunch here, right? If you absolutely have no money, okay, suck it up and just stay here, okay? And eat the food here. That's like the cheapest too. But I just want to challenge you. Just don't do what's convenient. Does that make sense? I know you might not have money. Sacrifice a little. Go to the cafeteria is so convenient, easy. Do something a little bit cut above. If you do have money, if you do have meals, Maybe stop by the Taco Bell next door, right? Maybe go to McDonald's, a $5 meal, right? Just try to do something, just spend something, okay? Let's go. Let's all stand. All these, you guys stay where you are. Let's all stand. All right. We'll pick some kids up. Let's go. Pick some kids up. Pick some kids up. I hope among yourselves, nobody gets left behind. I hope you guys are ready to figure it out. Nobody gets left behind. Go grab somebody. And I want you to pair up with them. Sit with them. We're going to do some discussion. All right? Grab them. Don't worry. David, a couple others, we're going to all help out too. Okay? We'll help out with the money. David, can you lend some of these broke people money? You have money on you? Okay. David, something Jin and Mick, something they're going to lend you money. If you are broke, they are going to give you money. Okay? They're going to make sure they're money. Let's go. And they will help give rides. All right? We will help give you rides. Okay? Bring them on. Okay, if they have to go, okay, no problem. You make that the schedule. If they have to go, no problem. Just go. Hey, what's your chat? I'll get the number and interact with them during the week. You know, spend some time. You know how to be in a kyanga, nuna, oppa, right? And ugly. You know how to do it. Just make it up. If you can't do it today, find some way. But do some sacrifice. Let's go. Pick them up. Pick them up and grab them and bring them to the other side. Pair up with them and bring them to the other side. Don't get too many. If you get too many, you're gonna go broke. There's a few. Even it out. Let's go. And then bring them to this side. Once you find a group, bring them up. Have a seat with them. Spread out with them. Okay, if you want to do it as groups, like the seniors, you can pair up too. If you don't want to do it one-on-one, you pair up. Now work together. Seniors, you're allowed to work together. So don't feel scared. Have some guys. Make sure everyone has people. Okay, everybody sit down with your groups. Sit down with your groups, please. Once you got your groups, have a seat. Can you make little circles? Can you make a circle with a group of people? Yeah, you can do it. All four, if you want more, that's fine. Okay. Does everyone have a group? Teachers, make sure they have groups. Make sure the seniors, upperclassmen, juniors, senior, and college. Make sure everybody. Okay, have a seat. Have a seat with your groups, please. Okay. All right, so here's what we're going to do. instructions for you. Before you even do your sacrificial plans, we're going to first start with, let's get to know one another. Very simple, okay? So we're going to go around, everybody in your group, and I'd like you to go around, share. First, everybody introduce your name, your grade to each other if you don't know each other, and then share maybe the low point of your past week and the high point of your past week, okay? The lowest point of the week and the highest point of the week. Does that make sense? Okay, so we'll give you about like 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll continue on. Let's get it. Are you ready? Get set, go.
We're all going together.
Are there 4 older people and 5 younger people?
One of you go to Andrew.
No, why don't you go over there?
But we're all going together anyways. Yeah.
Middle school was a fun time.
Older?
Yeah.
Eric is your dad.
Yeah.
Okay, I know some of you are still sharing, some of you have larger groups. We're going to take a pause for a sec. We're going to let you continue share in a moment. I just need your attention real quick, all the teachers. Okay, so right now, we're going to go out right now. So, and we're going to come back by the time the adults Yeba is done, so there's no, like, they're worried. So, seniors, we have all the teachers right now. We all have cars, or we're going to walk together. And one suggestion is we can, if you guys have your cars and you have your plans, you guys can go. But for those who are like in middle school for safety reasons or something, we're going to all, and youth pastor, we're going to all be together. If you have no plan to go, David has suggested we can all walk to, where are we walking to?
I know there's like you guys do it all the time, right? Like you walk across that bridge.
Yeah. At least to like the Chipotle McDonald's.
Yeah, there's
Okay,
plenty of stuff.
so that's a recommendation that we're going to do all together just as a group. So, and then, but we got to make sure we're back by like 12:30, okay? Right, 12:30. And if your parents are planning to pick you up early, just text them that we'll be back by 12:30. That the teachers, we went to outdoors as a group, okay? So if your parents are waiting, okay. So praise team, you're gonna miss one song, you're not gonna skip one song. Okay, and you guys can continue your conversations at the restaurant, okay? Or wherever you guys going. Alright, let's all stand where we are. Let's follow Jin and Min and David something out the door. We're gonna all go now. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
now you're a sixth grader, right? You ready to go to college?
Maybe.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yes, not excited much?
I'm okay with going to college. It's a little scary, but
Maybe too much free.
maybe I'll.
That makes it sometimes business, yeah, struggle. Then everything should be done by yourself. Right, with you? No. While you're sitting there, you're just the youngest one here. How you feel that in school now? We have been tested on radio, raising people from before that. Right? Hopefully you guys do well here. Very well. What's this? Classics. My son had you know him. Today, the keyboard today. Steve Dennis is my son. I think he has a little mentor. He has got his own mentor, but I love that mentor. Yes. Yeah. How's you were here today? Did you work last week with me? How was how you feel like to the people where you have a small group? You like it or not? Or you like it? Oh, nice. It's little, I see the transition from the previous format. We have master, so yeah, I like that. So, how are you?
I mean, it's nice getting to talk with the lower classes. But I don't know, it's like not as deep in my opinion because in the discussion groups, it was a lot smaller and like you could actually like go into really,
Yes.
you can go really deep on the topic, which I really like.
Oh.
But it's also nice talking to the lower classes.
Yeah, maybe that I think that has did it to try to make people feel more better. In that way, I think it's really good. But yes, if it's a small group, we have to be involved with it, because how many people did, but maybe we can do that later. And now we can try to make things okay. Peace. You know how many are? You guys are doing that right?
Well, we're right now, so.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
I see. I see. Yeah. Yeah.
The adults finish at 12:30, right?
We already done. They're not eating very much.
Oh, they're already done?
Yeah, I mean, the two worship is usually done at 11:30. Around. And they start eating lunch. Our YouTube is done around usually at 12. So that's why we always eat late. I mean, the last ones. So I already text down. I have a talk with the school, Karen school. I already text down. So they know that what's going on now. So don't worry about it. But you just get in the text from the Karen. Yeah. Really? Oh, okay.
I got mine in 7th grade. My sister got it in 5th grade.
Yeah. True.
And then I have friends who got it in high school because middle school is kind of the time you build good habits for yourself, and having the fun was a little.
True. But yeah.
Having the fun was a little different.
I think my parents are gonna like buy me one, like probably in high school too. I think last year high school, but maybe
I know what some parents do is they buy one of the newer Apple Watches.
Apple
Like,
Watches,
so you can
yeah, I
save
think
more.
that's one.
True. Yeah.
All my friends have Apple Watches.
You know Joshua. Let's see him. My years ago. Joshua is done.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Like in
okay.
CNN. Oh.
You tall boy. Dean. Yeah. He's asking. Getting that form. But that we have to go 6th grade. That is. Because Charlotte,
Yeah.
which means
Charlotte.
what's the spell? CHALLOT.
L-O-T-T.
Okay, Charlotte.
C-H-A-R.
C-H-A-R. No, R-A-O.
No, C-H-A-R-L-O-T-T-E. Wow.
It's a long name.
Like char?
Oh, yeah.
Char's not a word.
I got it. I like your name. You know, just, in English name too. Yuna means how, Y-U-N-A. Y-O-N-A. Okay.
So your friends at school call you that?
Yeah, Yuna is very easy to pronounce. Right. Oh, okay. Nice. I have Korean, I don't have Korean, but at this point, I don't want that Min, right? But Korean is Min, the same as yours, the last name, but America do not pronounce like first name, it's very hard. Okay, call me Min, that's it. But very easy now.
Yep. Our siblings have like separate English and Korean names, so
Okay. Oh yeah, right, your sister told me, Charlotte, but what's that? John, it's like in boys' Some, it's good name in Korea usually that boys' name, or close to boys' name. How are you then?
done.
You don't know, it's very neutral.
And my brother's name is like Juno.
Really? Josh has a very same.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what?
Josh very well. Yeah, he's Korean name is Juno. You have 3 kids? Oh, I meant the 3. Oh. Nice. Okay. So, my daughter's Jane, English name Jane, but there also Korean name is Jane. So, of course, very, very easy. The Chinese name is also, you may have a Chinese letter too, right? You can ask your parents, definitely. If you know some Juno, definitely ask that, probably. So, you're born here, America? You too? So,
My sister was like born in Korea.
you have older sister?
No, like younger sister.
Oh, really?
Like what?
Was your parents American citizen?
Yeah.
That doesn't matter. So you speak well Korean, both of you. You talk to your parents in Korean. Not me. You all speak English. You will only tomorrow?
Yeah, I would understood.
Or Josh again. Because you guys maybe you may not, but you may sometime. Right there again, your sister, but now. I don't know. It's your June. No, yeah. Well, those are best friends, but
He's here now.
so how was today's message? The sermon. I think the sermon is a little deeper than before.
Yeah.
This one's
Much more serious, but I think
Challenging.
I think it's mainly for older kids. He was basically saying like older kids. I know you've been in church for a while, and I know you've kind of gone through the motions of being in church here recently, but you guys gotta decide if you really believe in God or want to pursue it. How would you feel about it? I think for younger kids, it's more like realize that you guys are gonna remember coming to church for a while, probably for the rest of your life, but how like deeply are you gonna take it? Like,
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, but that's mostly I think it's focus on the senior or junior, and there's on them, it's easy. But eventually you're gonna need them. Through the polls. Maybe if you keep doing that way, maybe then later you have another small group, then maybe you can do a lighter topic. So.
oh, is that why? Is that why last week someone was saying? Oh.
Those little kids.
Nice.
Oh, do you not like these chairs? I mean, those are some of the best chairs. They have like cushion ones. Oh, the blue ones.
Oh, in CN. Yeah.
Were you watching Raw?
We were me and Daniel sometimes watch the CM ones, but most of the time we kind of slightly watch the other ones.
In EM ones, right? With Rob Chung. Oh yeah, so I've gone through 3 pastors here. I started with Rob Chung. He was here the longest for me. I will say he talked very seriously. Like we played basketball with him a lot, went out to eat with him a lot, drove around a lot. He was very close with us. But I think a lot of people were kind of scared of him because he was very serious and like he was very frank about like how we should regard our faith and he in his own life was personally always like thinking, oh, I should have done better, or that was a mistake, or sin. He always prayed on it in his own daily life. So I think he was trying to be like a role model to us, but it was a bit scary because we were a bit younger. And then I think, were you guys here for Matt?
I missed the first days of youth. So the moment I got here, I saw the new pastor.
Okay, so before David, about a month ago was Matt. He was Rob's student. But Matt he was a lot more for the younger kids. Like he was here every Friday. We mainly played games every Friday, so it was really fun for the younger kids. He was a lot more about he was a bit closer to what you guys are doing at the CM, where he tells like a Bible story of some sorts, and then he connects it to a message. So I think that was a lot better for the other kids, like their ages. But then now it's David. He's a lot more about not really Bible stories or lessons, more like how we should be thinking and going on in our lives, which is a bit interesting. How we should be proceeding as a church. So yeah, a lot of different pastors. Yeah.
I agree with all the 3 pastors.
I think it would have been nice if you guys had maybe experienced Matt a little bit more, because he's similar to what Teacher Susie teaches you guys about like your Bible lessons, but he's like a slight level above that, so I think he would help with the progression.
Susie, I think it's someone else now.
Is someone else?
Retired.
Oh, she retired? Who is it?
It kind of switched for a while. It was Stella for a little bit.
Oh, really? She came back?
No, it was
So that's all.
after it was Stella, and then
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
I
Abigail
saw it.
Lee.
Yeah, exactly. She used to be the
Yeah, I heard that. She came back.
She came back?
She came back.
Yeah, so
With David White. Yeah, so.
oh, yeah, so Teacher Stella, she was actually the CM pastor before Teacher Susie for about 5-6 years.
Really?
Yeah.
So it was Stella and then Susie, and then she was back here for a little bit.
Does she still do the thing with the water turned into wine?
What?
So every year she'd do a trick when there's so
Stella?
yeah, Stella. You know how there's a story about Jesus turned water into wine? So there's a trick with newspapers, and she'd do that every single year, and it would always blow our minds. It was so funny.
I was there long enough. Yeah. Yeah, we
both sides are filled up, and then you need extra chairs, or some people are standing sometimes. We used to have a lot more people around.
Hey, welcome back. You guys, nice.
Wait,
Who bought it? You or you?
oh, we all are. We had 3 kids, and then we just bought each one. Yeah.
Who went out with you?
They left early.
Who bought it? So, what is that? Who bought it?
Egan and Ashley.
Okay,
Because they
yeah,
had
I
some-
know them, Asher's parents and the two parents, they were the same.
Yeah, they had to. Asher had like a soccer game. Egan had a birthday party.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Oh.
You guys want some?
They wanted to go.
Oh, they want boba.
They wanted to go.
Looks like they're enjoying that boba.
So Jason did it for you, right?
Yeah.
He's leaving tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm doing it tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
I haven't started packing. Yeah.
You're a boy, I don't think you need a nanny. You don't need a nanny.
Okay, hold up. For you, since you're like farther away, you kind of just buy everything afterwards.
Yeah, no, literally, like, I just pack clothes and technology and I leave. Then
Why don't you your computer science?
on Yoko, IT, or
Okay.
cybersecurity.
Oh, that's good. Okay. You know, yeah, now that we have a Purdue, when I was, it's almost 20 years ago when I became president, so much fun that whoever is a student at Purdue University is a real friend.
Yeah, no, because they're really nice people.
There's a really, really isolated area at the time. The only school, one on methanol, and one Burma, that's it. And,
That one's like grown a bit in the
Yes.
city. It's like called Lafayette.
Yeah.
So there's like nothing really to do except like talk to people and like hang out.
Yeah, so and also the Indiana University.
Then
Yeah,
IU,
they're merged together.
yeah, they merged together called INUP and UI or something.
So I have friends over there. Korean friends and Indian friends, but not your area. So,
I mean, it's tall. Yellow. What's up?
Wait, David, when are you leaving?
Jackson Day.
Oh, okay.
Hello? This is my last Sunday.
Oh, okay.
I'm at the youth group main building.
What about you? When did you start?
I start August 20th.
Are you gonna?
I'm
I
here
heard you
now.
guys got like a new dorm building.
Well, yeah, it's called Blackwell. It looks more like a hotel, but I got Parker instead, which is
Is it good?
it's really
Parker.
I never heard of reading here.
I'm guessing that, that last Thursday, they're shooting
Yeah.
just behind the
Really?
area. Yes.
Yeah, and my mom was telling me they still found the
But that is quite safe area, usually.
Usually.
And then, at the shooting time, I just about testing. I won't lie, they have a big, heavy weapon, policeman, just walking around, but he didn't turn on anything, just working quietly, what's going on. But I realized later that around 8 p.m., they were shooting, but they couldn't find them. But just there, took report about 2 or 3 shots, then
Not
they
perfect.
search them, but.
You guys got like, you guys have school emails already, right?
Oh yeah.
Do you guys not get like updates about like crimes?
Oh yeah, I think I got an update from Purdue. Like they gave me a text. 2 people like there's like 2 counts of arson. Like someone like trying to lit something up at Purdue.
Yeah, so I'm just constantly getting emails from UC Berkeley warning me.
Almost 3 times a week.
Yeah. It's not very safe, but
That's happening. But any school, people are working the improvement. So we have to watch out, but chapter is okay, but, and then, little buffer on the working, is the work, is a little buffer on the car.
it's a bit far.
You know,
It's a bit
the
out of the
side.
side.
Like,
smells good,